Aloha, everybody. Once again, welcome to Ho'oikaika. As you can see, my voice is a little bit hoarse today because I'm still getting over a respiratory viral infection. But I repeat, I was not going to give up this opportunity to talk story with my brother who I haven't seen for a while. This guy comes from the island of Fiji. He's accomplished many things in his life. And I don't want to give away too much because I know he's going to talk about it. But he and I first met at some of the Polynesian activities that they had in college at BYU. As soon as I met this guy, I was like, wow, this guy is a cool leader. He's very charismatic, and he's fun to be around. He's very comfortable to be around. He makes everybody around him feel comfortable too. And we danced together in this group called Living Legends. And I got to know him. I got to know a lot about Fijian culture through this guy too. But anyway, I don't want to give away too much. I want to introduce everybody to my brother from another mother, Aisake Vuikadavu. Brother.
Bula.
Bula Vinaka.
Bula, Gavon. Oh, man, it's been a while. It's been
Too
a while,
long.
man. Too long.
Yeah. You don't know how excited I am about this one, man. Oh, shoot. I gotta get a chance to talk. Because when we were on tour, I would be hanging out with you most of the time on the bus. Learning the ropes.
Oh, man, learn from you. Yeah. No, I'm grateful for this opportunity to, be on this, little show you got going on here. And, when you were asking about it, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, I thought, God, this is cool, man. I get the opportunity to, chat with the brothers over here, see what's happening, and share some thoughts from my side of what I've experienced, and hopefully that can help, all of you listening in from wherever you're at, and whatever situation you may be in. I hope by the end of our call here, you'll take one thing, even if it's just a 1% change will happen, then this would have been worth it.
Yeah, totally, brother. I appreciate that, making everybody move forward. And, tosomai. I hope I'm not saying it wrong. When people move forward, it's tosomai, right?
Toso, move.
Okay, toso.
Yeah,
That's good. You hear that? Everybody make sure they toso.
Yeah, there you go.
But if you don't mind introducing yourself, telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Fiji, and spent about 6 years in a boarding school. So I left home when I was 11, and the boarding school was, I think, about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from home. And it's changed because back then it was all gravel road. Now it's pitched, so you get there quicker. But back then it felt like I was out in the boondocks in Never Land. But I spent about 6 years in boarding school there. And then when that was done, I spent about 2.5 years in the military and, worked up in the Middle East. And then from there, I was, let's see here. I was ranked as an officer in there, and I gave that up so I can go and serve a volunteer 2 years, church mission. From there, I went down to BYU after I got done, and that's where I met Gavon. Now I live down in southern Utah with my wife and my 2 daughters, call them my BFFs. Loving it over here, man. That's a little bit about me.
Thanks, bro. I'm trying to remember. I think you and I think the first time we met was at the BYU Luau back in 2000.
Yeah, 2000. Yeah, I just got off my mission, and there's a Fijian guy there. He lives in Arizona, Chale. He said, "Hey, you want to come and hang out over here? Dance with us?" As soon as I got there, she's like, "Okay, you want to teach the dance?" Like, what, man? That was low. But it was a great opportunity, and thought I think you might have danced in there. Come on, with that Fijian section.
Yeah, no, I signed up for that. I remember I signed up for the Fijian section. That's how I met you. You were the leader for that.
That was it. And we moved on from there, and we've had a great time. Going on the tours and all that. Now you mentioned that you're talking mainly with the Polynesian men. Is that mainly the listeners here for your channel?
Yeah. I mean, it's the I would say maybe the target demographic would be for Polynesian men, but honestly, anybody can come and listen in and identify with a lot of stuff that we're talking about. It's just that I just feel like there's been a lot of instances where, especially in the mainstream, like Polynesian men get disenfranchised or don't get represented as much as other demographics do. And so that's the reason why I'm focusing on just interviewing a lot of my Polynesian brothers like yourself. But yeah,
Okay.
it's open for anybody to come and listen to.
Okay.
But target audience is definitely the Polynesian men, though. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. What have you found, just kind of from experience talking with them, talking with your audience? What's, maybe two or three things that you feel they're facing or having challenges with?
Yeah. So it varies a lot, I noticed. Like the two gentlemen that I just interviewed with before you, one of them, because he was raised in the mainland, is my cousin, Nolan. I don't know if you remember my cousin, Nolan Tong, but he was talking about how he had to deal with a lot of cultural differences and cultural identity issues, not knowing much about his own native Hawaiian roots, and yet sometimes maybe getting discriminated against because of his race, and dealing with that and overcoming that. And then another gentleman I interviewed, Jay, he went at it from talking about overcoming his ADHD, also the fact that he was adopted into a family and didn't know too much about his roots, but latched on onto the Hawaiian culture so quickly, and how he overcame like differences that way as well. So it kind of varies so far, but that's why I kind of like doing this, talking to people from different backgrounds, because it doesn't seem there's a very common theme. Like, it's very varied. So
yeah.
Okay. That's why I appreciate talking to you.
Well, I want to share some things I'm feeling impressed upon.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. To everyone listening on this, you may see what I'm saying here coming from a cultural point of view, or maybe from family. But I specifically, with what I do, what I feel called to work with and share with is the underdogs. And so for you, you may be an underdog in your family or in your work environment or school or even culture. Or maybe, you're doing so well, but in some things in your life, you feel like you're an underdog in. And that's the part of you I wanted to speak to it and just address. And, my invitation is, the things I'll share with you here, I can only do so much. I can only bring it to the door of your heart. And I pray and hope that, you, when the time is right, when you're ready, you'll be able to open it and see if that's something that you can use. Because there's only so much I can do. At the same time, I honor, your freedom to pick and choose what you want to do, but I'm just doing this out of love, because I feel like each and every one of us, there's an underdog in there that's not addressed, it's not validated, that, no one listens to. And maybe it's a part of you that you don't share with others, because maybe you've got a protective shell, like you got to come across as something, and you can't let people know this. So I'm going to speak to that underdog part of you. And most of the times we feel like, maybe culture, like we got to act a certain way. In Fijian culture, I grew up in boarding school, and you grew up in Fiji, there's a village part or growing up in the city. So I was kind of more like in between there. Wasn't too much city, wasn't too much in the village. And from what I've observed, sometimes we defend, what are the cultural aspects we grew up with, and that's like our identity. And we're like, hey, you know what? If I'm not doing this, then my identity falls. And my challenge I want to share with you guys is that it's not about who you are, it's about who you are becoming. Okay. So in an old part of your culture, maybe the way you're raised, whatever that may be, if it's your parents, we just bless them because they raised you the best they knew how. And so all we do is just take it from there and see if we can add to it, be better, and then pass it on to our kids. And so the reason I want to say like who you are becoming, because that makes you realize like, hey, you know what? Even though I grew up this way, even though this was my income growing up, even though this was how it is, I can still change it. I can still change it. But the challenge comes when you're like, nope, this is it. I'm gonna die like this. Like, hey, that's your call. But we can change. We actually are designed to change. And so some parts of the culture that you feel has worked in the past may not really work right now, or not as much. So challenge you want to ask yourself is like who you are becoming. And there's a saying that, when you are aware of and acknowledge negative things, they start to lose strength. The same token, when you are aware of and acknowledge positive things, they start to gain strength. So just kind of look into your life, look at all the stories that you have. Hey, is it helping you? or is it not benefiting you? Because you can have that mindset when you're single, but when you start having a family, you got a wife, you got kids, you got to look at like, oh, some of that may not work. So, and I just kind of keeping an open eye and acknowledging. And this is the hard part. I was like, hey, you know what? Aisake, I don't want to do that because then I'm challenging my culture. So define culture. That's what I want to ask. Like, what does culture mean to you? Culture may be where you're from. Culture may be how you view money. Culture may be how you treat your kids. Culture may be how you correct your kids. So you want to be really clear on that first.
You know,
So
go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was going to ask you. I'm glad you brought that up about change, because for me personally, I know growing up here in Hawaii, that tends to be a big adjustment, and an issue for a lot of people is dealing with that change, because we tend to like things how it is right now. And I you know, just speaking openly, I know one of the big issues over here is the whole idea about how Hawaii became part of America. And, you know, a lot of Hawaiians do want it to go back to how it used to be. And it's so hard to do that. And so it's difficult for a lot of people to move on and change. I have my own issues with change as well, too. But, you know, like you were mentioning earlier, everybody has to realize that, okay, you know, things cannot always be the same. Cannot, you know, it's just how nature is. And so how do you adjust to that? How do you deal with those changes? Well, what are some of the recommendations you would have for somebody that's dealing with issues of change?
Okay. First thing you want to look at is, hey, is it serving you of, you know, what you want to accomplish? If something is not serving you, then you can find out how it's going to change. But you brought up in a point there about the culture. Now, I'm not a cultural specialist. I didn't go to school for it. I haven't done research on it. The same token, you know, from my experience being a Fijian and coming over to the US, did I see some of that, you know, different treatment? Yeah, I did. How did I, you know, how did I overcome that? I don't know if overcome's the word. It was more of like, hey, how do I bring the best that I can and take the best that they have and just run with it? So there was no overcoming. There was more compromising and connection. That's how we did it. And it started because when I went to England after school, I went to a military academy there, and it's called Royal Military Academy Sandhurst. It's kind of like the West Point, but more for the British Commonwealth nations. And so when I went there, huge culture shock. So here I am coming from the islands. And what I noticed right off the bat, I had a good group of guys, but every now and then I'd see that, you know, there's you can feel it. But I didn't pay too much attention to it because I'm like, you know what, hey, you know, they're brought up maybe differently. They don't see it the way it's, and that's okay. You know, it's just the way things are. But I tried my best to bring whatever I could to the table and learn from them. And because of that, I felt, you know, I had a comfortable time there, because it's kind of like if the fight's already there and you're trying to bring another fight, oh man, I just gonna be haywire. And I try to be the first one to say like, hey, how can we connect this together? Because at the end of the day, we are all human beings. At the end of the day, it's all about love. That's it, man. And, you know, culture, colors, continent, it doesn't matter. It's about you loving a human being and understanding at the end of the day. I know scripture, I'll bring this here. The worth of souls is great in the sight of God. That's the way I look at it. Because at the end of the day, you know, when we're on the other side, it don't matter, you know, which island you're from or what nationality. It doesn't matter. We're all just human beings. So approaching from that way, feeling like, hey, you know what? I could try to fight this, and I will fight to the end of my life and still nothing be done. And if you feel like maybe that could be a badge of honor, you know, you're more than welcome to. Another way to look at it is like, hey, you know what? There's a lot of differences, but let me see if I can bring my best and take their best and just create my own culture, the best of both worlds. So that's another thought. Yeah.
Best of both worlds, man. Like, it was kind of funny. My wife and I was talking about, you know, the Black Panther movie has been so popular, and Wakanda. Yeah, we're talking about Wakanda, and it was like, wow, that would be a very ideal situation, especially for an indigenous culture like Fiji or Hawaii, if they could have the technology to progress forward, but yet still maintain the traditions that they had from our ancestors, which we kept everything natural and whatnot. I was like, wow, that would be so cool, man, if you could do something like that,
Yeah. Yeah. And the same token, I just want to add to that.
Yeah.
The key is to also acknowledge and respect our elders. Because some of the elders, they'll be stuck with that, and that's okay. We just love them as a human being. That's the way we look at it, and just acknowledge it. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But with what you can do, make a difference in your area of the world, whatever you can handle. Don't worry about so much about others and what they're doing. That's beyond your control. You only control what you can do, and so that when people come and hang out with you and talk with you, they realize like, wow, this is someone that I can really connect with because they understand both worlds and they bring the best out of it. And regardless of how negative other people may be, because here's the thing, man, don't fit into the negative. It will always be there, guaranteed. It's not gonna go away. And if you try to fight it, all right, save the energy for your life to do something worthwhile. Because the negativity will always be there. That's a guarantee. But what you can do is, make a difference with your own little circle. And you never know, the people from that circle will go on and create a bigger difference. So that's the way I look at it.
That's great, man. And a lot of people need to hear that, especially now with all this negativity that's going around the world now, man. People need to hear that. What is your educational background and how did you get into what you do now as a career? Like, how did you get into this business and your education?
Right.
Go ahead.
All right. First of all, don't follow my route. I did the 6-year program. Okay.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
All right. I'll tell you, man. Here goes. So I went into college and I love chemistry. It made too much sense. It was just obvious when I was in high school. So I thought, like, you know what? I'm gonna do something in chemistry. And then looked at, the course you offered into like chemical engineering. Like, okay, you know what? That'd be cool. Went into chemical engineering. I lasted about 2 weeks in there. Yep. And then I jumped from major to major. So I was hopping majors. Why? Because I was just there for the fun of it. And here's my backstory here. I grew up in a military family. My dad was like strict military and all that. And then after I left school, I went into the military. So I was always told what to do. Don't worry about anything. Just follow orders and you're good. When I left the military and I did my church service mission, I realized like, you know what? There's an element of people telling you what to do, but at the end of the day, you've got to do it all on your own. When I got to college, it was like no one's telling you what to do. You just do it. And guess what happened to my grades? My grades just dropped. Did I care? To tell you the truth, no. I was like, yes, this is freedom. I can just do whatever I want. I can go dancing with these folks here. Come on. I go here, I dance, and then, with my dance classes, I'll start with my A, and then with an A, and I'll work myself to an F or unwork myself to an F. But I did it for like 6 years. Why? It was just jumping and just having fun and enjoying it, until it came to the point where I did a lot in college. All of a sudden, all the girls I was dating, I was seeing them at the mall with their husbands and kids. Like, holy crap, I got to get my life together here. And I always had this inclination inside to, study people and understand what makes them tick and how to help them. And so I thought, like, psychology, that'd be something I want to do. But I was prompted to do psychology from the very beginning. But here's my thing. It doesn't make any money. So let me go try to do Let me go to chemical engineering, communications, and the whole lot. And one of the majors I had, man, had the cutest girls in there. And of course, I think Gavon was doing that too. Communication. Oh, that building, that was it. And so
HVAC.
There you go.
Harris Fine Arts Center. Yep.
Harris Fine Arts Center. Everyone in the communication degree, I love that. But anyways, I'm just letting you guys know my route because it was a mess. But I just want to let you know that if you feel like you're in a mess, there's always hope. You can change. And then I did psychology. I got done. I loved it. It just made too much sense. So that's what I graduated with. Yeah, psychology. And now for work, for my 9-to-5 job, I work with the dentists across the country, helping them build their practices, helping them get, a specific procedure going. So that's what I do. But if I were to do it again, going back to college, pick something you really connect with, and don't worry about the money part. If it doesn't make money, don't worry about that. Just start on the way. And my problem, it was that I was just jumping. I didn't see it to the end. I kept jumping, trying to the shiny object one after the other. Yeah, that's why it took 6 years. But as I look back, I'm grateful for that experience. It's taught me a lot. And it's helped me make a lot of the mistakes so that I can share with people and make a difference in their lives of not to make those mistakes. Yeah.
I don't know. Hearing your journey, educational journey, reminds me of this lecture I went to for the business school. I remember they had these CEOs of various companies. I think there were 6 of them. And the big question that came up was, what was your grades when you were in college? And everybody's just assumed, oh, CEOs, they must have, either straight A students or these very grand high scores for their grades. And what the shock was that 3 of them were C students. The other 3 were dropouts or they flunked out of college. And everybody was like, what? And long story short, the common theme that the CEOs had said was, people forget that college is not just about the formal education. There's an informal piece too, where you make connections, you network, you get to know people from different cultures. And you're going to find out that you may be good at engineering, accounting, whatever your field of expertise is. But if you're going to move up, it's the one that knows how to interact and deal with people that's going to be in a leadership position. And a lot of times the CEOs, because they played around a lot, because they interacted with people, whether it's, going on group dates or just organizing activities or doing events or that type of thing, they always find themselves interacting with people from all walks of life. Because of that, they know how to guide, train, develop. And so I see that in you, brother. That's why you were able to interact with a lot of different people, man. Huh?
It was fun. It's been a great experience. I was just telling my kids and my wife, because when we first got married, we walked on the mall and everyone was like, "Hey, hi." And my wife how do you know all of them? I didn't want to tell her, but she knew, yeah, I want to deal with her and her and her and her and her. So it's just more. But I'm grateful for the experience, get to really understand people. Now, there may be someone listening to this call here, maybe you're home, maybe you're driving in your car, and you probably had a hard day at work and a hard day at home also, and you're kind of questioning yourself. You want man, what's the purpose of doing all this here? No one's hearing me, no one's acknowledging me. I want to let you know, brother, that I hear you, I acknowledge you, and I validate whatever you're going through right now. That struggle is real. And so as you acknowledge that and understand, hey, this is where I'm at, it sucks. Yes, it sucks. Now, the next step is you can either just stay in that hole there and feel like this is a destiny for your life, or you can realize this is just going to be like this for a couple of minutes for a short period of time, and then I can change. And I promise you that, when you choose to change, a change happens because people and opportunities will start showing up to help you get there. But first things first, don't deny what you're feeling. Just acknowledge it sucks. Yep. When I was in college there and I was dating around, I had some serious relationships, and when it broke up, man, it sucked. I questioned myself. Here I was, an ex-military officer and getting broken up in college. Holy crap, that's low, ego boost. The ego's out the window. You question yourself. But I just want to let you know that, there is hope, and there is a way out. But acknowledge where you're at first. Don't push it down. Don't hide it, because there's a saying there, feelings buried alive never die. So you acknowledge it, and then you can move forward. Because it's more healthy that way than trying to push it down and pretend everything's going well. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Thank you, brother. I gotta ask you, why is Polynesian dance such a big part of your life?
I have no idea. I remember in high school, we had this dance group at the school, and so you would have to kind of audition to join the group. So I was dancing in that group for a couple of years. It was that school performing group, and so I'm going to give you a little peek into this the traditional culture in Fiji. For this specific group here, there was this meke in Fijian is dance. and that was passed down from generation to generation. And so whenever we as students wanted to perform the dance, we had to go and do a little, kava ceremony, or young Fijian is yangona, here is kava, to get permission from the owners, the traditional owners of the dance, to do that dance. And it would have to be formal. It was just there was so much respect for that. And if we didn't, there were some kids there who didn't, and they didn't have. And I won't go deep into it, but they didn't have a good experience. I'll just put it that way. They didn't sleep well at night. But we were able to do that, and it just became a big part of what we did. And so when I came over to the college, when I was asked, "Hey, can you teach the dance to these guys over here, to the students for the college luau?" That's the dance I brought, because that's a dance I was working with for like 6 years and practice, and that's what I brought over. And it just goes to show that some of the things from the past, as we honor it, acknowledge it for how it came by, we give that the reverence. That's what I mean is, like, even if you're faced with cultural challenges and you want to do something different, just acknowledge where it came from, acknowledge the elders, and just out of respect, and then just and keep moving forward. And from that, that's what I did to audition for the group that Givon was in. We danced all throughout, had so much fun, and after I left college, the tourism group in Fiji came over and hired me and my brother and a few of our buddies to go and dance for all of their convention teams. So that was fun. And now, here in my 40s, I still go and dance with groups here in Southern Youth, and I love it. It's a lot of fun. And to answer your question, why is it a big part of your life? To tell the truth, I really don't know. But I know in dancing, there's just a connection. I can't really put a finger on it. It's a connection. And for me, the way I see dance is the ability to impact and touch the heart of someone who's watching. Because maybe they came there to watch an entertainment. For me, the way I look at it is like, what? If you're going to be in front of me, then I will dance to touch your heart and impact your life. That's, for me, the energy I bring on. It's not as entertaining. It's more for, I'm here to impact you. So that's just my look. It's kind of different, kind of weird. That's just how I roll on that, man.
No, man, not weird at all. I get it. Totally get it. And you can kind of tell too, you can tell the difference between somebody who's a performer and they're just going through the motions, as opposed to somebody who's real deep into what they're doing. Like with you, I remember this incident that happened, and one of our mutual friends, Anya, she had told me that, and I believe it too, but she had told me that one night in Alaska when we were performing, you were doing the Fijian chief, and you were out there on the stage, and while you were out there performing, she said that she had seen other like chiefs out there with you, spirits out there with you too. And it was like, oh, I believe it, man. I believe it, because when you do something as raw and natural as performing a dance, you cannot help. Sometimes stuff like that happens. It's like when you pray or you do other things that get you connected spiritually. There's a lot of spirituality that happens in Polynesian dancing, and so I'm not surprised, man. You had a lot of spiritual warriors out there, man, shouting "Boso Lebu" and just
there you go. Yeah,
just doing what they're doing.
And you brought up a big point there. As dance becomes more modernized as cultural dances, and it's good. There's a lot of different fusions. I'll put it that way. But for me, my point of view is, as long as we can acknowledge and revere where it came from, we're giving it that what the worth that it's due, and the challenge becomes, when you're performing that dance and you make it all about you, you feel like, hey, I am the thing, all that. We just reference where this is coming from, who the originators are, and we are just stewards. We're just stewards of whatever performance they're handing down. And when you see it as that you are a steward, they trust you with whatever mana or energy for that, because they know you're not going to misuse it, and they'll use it to touch and impact the hearts of everyone who's watching. And that is welcome and open to everyone if they want it, and it's a gift. I'll put it that way. It's a gift. You're representing your culture in front of others, and think about your ancestor, man. if they're in the boats in the village and here they are, like, wow, look at one of our descendants here on stage in front of so many other people. There's pride in their hearts. There's pride in their hearts. You realize, like, yeah, that's us, you know. Just as you're proud and represent your ancestors, they're so proud of you too. I mean, if you have kids, your kids do something awesome, you're like, you're a proud parent. And for them, it goes back generations, 3, 4, 10, 15. They're proud of what you do, the name you carry, and the legacy you hold. But the last thing they want to see you do is, fighting over it and all that. And they love you to, do something good with their name, do something good with what you've been given, because they did the best they knew how with whatever they were given. And then everything's passed on and then over to you. And they're like, okay, it's your turn to carry this torch. And just remember, you will die one day. And so that torch will be handed over to someone else. But as long as it's in your hands, what good can you do with it? That's your challenge,
That's an awesome way to put it. I never thought about, as a performer, as a dancer, you getting stewardship from your ancestors to perform those traditional dances and whatnot. That's pretty cool, man. I never thought about it that way before. Yeah. I'm talking to my boys about getting into Polynesian dance now. And so, yeah, maybe one of these days, hopefully, they can carry on our traditions as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My girls right now, they're saying, hey, Dad, we want to learn Fijian. And so, I've been spending a couple of minutes each day teaching them a few words and the applications. And it's like, Dad, you should have taught this to us when we were kids. Like, hey, you know what? It's one of those things you'll grow, and there may, as you look back in your life, there may be some things you regret. Here's my invitation to you is look at it with gratitude of, how things could be different and then move forward from that. Because as long as you have regret, that negative energy still stays there. No, don't give it any more attention than it deserves. If it's negative, acknowledge it and just move forward and change, because people change, things change. Biologically, I'm not going to go into the science, but our bodies change. There's a lot of changes in our cells. That's biology. So if that's happening physically, why do we hold back mentally on those changes? Why do we defend our own mental stories when our bodies and cells from like years ago is long gone? Why do we keep holding on to that? So the invitation is acknowledge it, let it go, move forward. And just because you let it go doesn't mean you're like, oh, you know what, I'm not going to get vengeance for that. No, it's not about that. It's about you growing. It's not about who you are. It's about who you are becoming. That's the challenge.
That's awesome, man. Hey, I was curious if anybody wanted to get in contact with you to seek your expertise, your guidance, your business or whatnot, how would they get a hold of you? I'll put your information in the description and if you want to share. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I just started a YouTube channel where I'll share thoughts and, who's that geared towards? My channel is I'll share my thoughts and insights and what I've learned across the years. And it's geared towards the underdogs. Maybe you feel you're underdog as a person, or maybe there's a part of your life you feel you're an underdog in. And, that's who this is for. And the channel is Mind Lamp. It's MINDLAMP, Mind Lamp. And the reason I use lamp is because when I was in boarding school, the power would go off at about 10:30 and it'll be dark. And this is out in the village out there in Fiji. And so every morning to study, I would get up in the morning and then I use this kerosene lamp to light up. And then I would, read and study for an hour or two before the generator power came back on. And so that's where the lamp came on. And for me, it's a reminder of, where I came from, and a reminder to not only where I came from, but to share the light of what I've learned along the way, my mistakes, my mess ups, to bless someone's life. If that will, the thing you shared here will save you a year or even 5 or 10 years of your life, that you don't make the same mistakes I did, then, this call have been worth it. So.
Thank you, brother. Hey, I'm going to ask you a special favor. Is there any, like in Hawaiian, there's these special idioms, these Hawaiian phrases that they have for people to learn lessons from. Is there any special Fijian phrases that you use throughout your life to help you deal with stuff? Any special phrases, if you could share that?
Oh man, so you want it in Fijian?
Yeah, please.
Wow. This whole time I've been thinking in English.
If
Even
you
though in
can,
boarding school, I thought in English, man.
if you can share them in English, that's fine too. But yeah, Fijian
Okay.
if possible would be cool.
I'll share with you. This is from when I was in boot camp. So the boot camp I went to straight out of high school. General boot camp normally takes about 2 months or a little over 2 months. This one here was only took 5 weeks. And so what they did was they had a group of 400 people try out for this little boot camp. It was for officer training. So, whichever whoever recruits succeeded from that, then they would send to officer school and all over the world. We had England and New Zealand and Australia and all that. And so out of that 400 people, we had to go through a selection course for about 2 weeks, and they picked 14. So I was one of the 14. And this was straight out of high school, and it was challenging, and I hated it. It was like worst time in my life. But there was this platoon commander there. He was a training officer. His name is he's soon passed away. Rest in peace. His name is Sovita, Captain Sovita. And every time we'd run through something hard, he'd always say in Fijian, "Enangay otimai," which means this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Every single day. And so in my mind, I was like, okay, if it says this too shall pass, then I was just going to keep going at it. And lo and behold, 5 weeks later, that everything passed, and I was awarded some awards, during that.
So sorry about that, folks. Brother man got cut off, but yeah, we ended off on you talking about Hokimai, and then bam, it just cut off. But yeah, if you could please, continue on from there.
Oh yeah, that Fijian phrase, I'm just kind of continuing from. In Fijian, he said that the captain, the training captain, "Enangay oti mai," which means this too will pass, or it'll finish. So whatever challenges you may be going through right now, whether the challenges you've shared with others or challenges that you're secretly holding on to that you don't want to share with anyone, to each their own, wherever you're at right now. Just want to let you know that too shall pass. And when that passes, what do you have waiting for you? What great things do you have in mind? Because all the challenges that are going to come through, it will come through. But when you have that mindset in mind that this will, come to an end, it gets you above and beyond the situation you're going through, mentally and physically. So the Fijian phrase I want to share is "Enangay otimai." This too shall pass.
Enangay otimai.
Yeah, "Enangay otimai." Enangay otimai.
Okay, I'm gonna remember that big time, bro.
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
So every time I go through some challenges, I remember that guy there. He was unforgiving, but even with his straight boot camp, he still said those words, "Guys, this will pass." Yeah.
I can just imagine some of the things you learn going through boot camp too, man. All that harsh training and being able to overcome, because that's a lot of physical training, but a lot of mental training too.
A lot of mental, man. A lot of mental. Yeah.
And look at where you're at now, brother.
Still learning, brother. Still learning. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. Hey, apologize for the technical difficulty on that one, man. But I'm glad we were able to finish up and get that important piece that you mentioned about Enangay otimai, because I think a lot of people do need to hear that. Remember that whatever challenges that they're facing right now, it's going to pass. Everything is temporary, even the good sometimes. Just need to do our best in every way.
And to add to what you're saying there, we all need this here. We all go through challenges, and what we need is just a glimmer of hope. The hope that this will pass, and there's something at the end of the tunnel. If you've got nothing else, if mentally, physically, financially, everything is against you, just that hope that this will pass, just use that as your flame to keep you moving forward. Because at the end of the day, that's what sets you apart from everyone else that quit. Don't quit, man. Keep getting, because if you're listening to this and you're doubting yourself, just remember that you're still breathing and you're here on earth to make a massive difference in someone's life.
That's super cool.
Whether that's with your family, whether that's with you, whether that's with people across the world you don't know about, we just never know. But unless you get back on your feet, they won't get to feel that difference. they won't get to feel that gift of you showing up in front of them and making a difference with them. And just remember, like the scripture, the worth of souls is great in the sight of God. Every individual, regardless of culture, continent, color, it's about love, man. It's about loving people. Yeah.
Very cool, man. I'm looking forward to when your book comes out. I know I want to respect your time. And is there any last minute tidbits of advice? I know you shared so much already today. Is there any
yes, yeah,
advice you want to share?
First of all, thank you. Whether you're listening in your car or listening at home, thank you for taking your time to listen to Givon and I chat over here. And I appreciate you sharing your time and giving of that, because you could have chosen to do something else. My invitation is whatever you've learned today, if you can just take one thing and go and share and teach it to either your spouse or your kids or to a friend, please do that. Because here's the thing, the teacher is the first learner. By you teaching, all of a sudden you bring yourself to the forefront and realize like, wow, I am something, I mean something, I can make a difference. And in the heart of that spouse, that child, that friend, what you share with them may just be the one thing they needed in their life at that moment. And guess who made the difference? It wasn't me, it was you. Love you guys.
Brother, I needed to hear that, man. That was great. All the stuff you talked about today, I needed to hear that. And I know there's a lot of other people out there that needed to hear it too. Teacher is the first learner. That's so true in so many ways. Like I always find myself in situations where I learn the content, whatever it is I'm trying to learn, I learn it best when I'm trying to teach it to somebody else and train them. Yeah, that's the best, most effective way.
Yeah, when I started learning to get to know, so I can try to feel smart, try to be all know everything, and then I got humbled along the way. What humbled me was like, hey, really, for what? And so it's changed, and along the way, for me, it's been I'm gonna learn so that I can teach and make a difference in someone's life. So that motive of learning has gone from learning to fill me to learning to impact someone, learning to make a difference in someone's life. And it's taken a whole different spill. And then that's taken me from reading tons of books just to get through it to just reading a few books and diving deep in so I can get the lessons and share with others to make a big difference. Yeah, just the motive behind things, man, that makes all the difference.
Thank you, brother. So if people want to get in contact with you and get training and development, it's mindlamp.com. Yeah.
No, it's actually youtube.com.
Oh.
Yeah, youtube.com/@mindlamp. So @mindlamp. And so just go through there, because I'll post a lot of my stuff up there, and just make a comment and say like, hey, Aisake, heard you on the this show with Givon, or my email will be up there. Shoot me an email. Actually, the email, if you want, is just mindlampcentral@gmail.com. That's the email. But go and watch some of the videos, because maybe some of the things there can help you. And, I invite you, whatever you learn, go share with another person at least within the first 12 hours. So that's here's the invitation I leave with. If you still listen to this call here, take whatever you learn here, just one thing, and share it with someone within the next 12 hours. Yep, that's it. And do that, do your homework, and watch what happens from there. Yeah, and don't be surprised if people think like, wow, thanks for sharing my life. Yeah, it just shows that you've got that gift in you, which was hidden. It just needs a little bit of tweaking and discovering. Before you know it, you're blessing people. Yep.
Also level, I cannot thank you enough, man. That's super cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I know we went a little bit over.
Hey, it's all good, man.
We intended, brother. So I appreciate you being able to share more, because trust me, this stuff is super valuable. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people hitting this up. I know I'm going to be posting this on Facebook. I'm going to tag you on it so you can see it yourself too. But don't forget, folks, check out his YouTube channel and under Mind Lamp, enlightening your mind, opening up your mind, and turning the light on so you can be better in life. It's pretty cool, brother. Aisake, thank you so much, man.
Love you, brother. Thank you, man.
Love you too, bro. Big time.
Yeah, one of these times here, if you come over here, come down to Hawaii, man, we got to get you back, and let's do the road day again, man. Good time. Old time.
from what I heard, we're supposed to have another Living Legends reunion, right? Coming
Oh,
up.
really? Oh, man.
That's what I don't know. Like I know the 50th was supposed to be last year.
Yeah.
Got canceled, but do you know if they're gonna have one this year?
No idea, man. I pop in every now and then, but I'm just not sure. Yeah.
Okay. If not that, because I know you got some family over here too in Hawaii. So either I come up there or you come over here. We definitely got to hook up and get together.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for listening to Ho'oi Kaika. Want to thank Aisake, Vuikadavu again. And tune in next time for another episode. Aloha. Aloha. Peace.